Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Welcome back to the show. We are so excited to have the one, the only 5 Steps to Alignment Queen, founder and owner, Haley Carbajal, joining us today. How are you, my dear?
I'm doing great, Jill. Thank you for that awesome
Oh,
introduction.
please. No. You just look so spring and sunny and fresh and white. Makes me think I got to lose the black. I mean, I have tan shorts on today, but you look so springy and summery. I'm jealous. You look beautiful as always. If you can't see her, if you're just listening on the podcast, you got to check out the Zoomcast at a later time. Just Google her name. Check her out at 5stepstoalignment.com. That's spelled out the word five. And Haley, please introduce yourself today.
Yeah, so I am a spiritual coach and mentor, and I specifically help those who are struggling with fear and stagnation and lack of direction in their life so that they can vibrationally align to their higher calling or their soul's purpose.
Perfect. And by the way, you've been doing this for how long? I mean, innately, you've
Yeah.
kind of been this way, right?
Yeah. I've been exposed to the spiritual industry for the last 15 years, and I've been helping people specifically one to one for the last 10.
Great. Well, thank you for being here today. We've had amazing conversations and all the people you're helping. So, what did you have in store for us today?
Yeah, so today I actually wanted to talk about this idea that we don't have to have it all figured out. And a lot of the information that I'm going to convey comes from
Mm-hmm.
Daryl Anka, and he channels Bashar. So humans are actually meant, life is meant to be lived on synchronicity. So following our gut instincts, following like when there you think something and then hear it on the radio. When you do see like maybe you're thinking of your grandmother and she used to have make biscuits, and then you walk across a store, walk across, and in New York there's this new biscuits and gravy,
Yes.
place. We're actually meant to be operating on synchronicities like that. We are meant to be following
Wow.
those exciting instincts and impulses. Um, because those impulses are actually leading us in the flow where we want to go, or where we're meant to go, right? So a lot of the pain and resistance that we have is resisting the natural self, because we are born into so many rules, so many ways to act. We're supposed to act a certain way, we're supposed to behave a certain way, we're supposed to fit into this category that makes others feel comfortable, and that's where we feel this like deprivation in our spirit, because we're not being our authentic selves, right? We're not meant to fit into ideas of another person. We're meant to be us, following the thread of what makes us happy and excited, and following that current allows you to experience the most optimal, happy, joyous, miraculous life. And so, and this is not just an idea. This is
Okay.
literally a foundation to how reality works. Okay? So, when I say we don't have to have it all figured out, we have two
Mm-hmm.
parts of our mind actually. And again, these teachings come from Bashar. These are not my own. Um we have our physical 3D mind. This
Okay.
is the part of this mind is only meant to process what has happened. Now we have a higher mind. Some people refer to it as the higher self. This is the aspect of you that is connected to creator, God, source, universe, spirit. And this is the mind that has the bigger picture and is meant to use what's processed in the physical mind to recalibrate, to help you navigate your reality, if
Okay.
that makes sense. So let's say that and this higher mind, literally, if you could look at it, this higher mind is at the top of the mountain, knows the journey, sees all the little facets of how life plays out and all your decisions and all the decisions that you will make, and you are the one climbing the mountain. Now, climbing the mountain, if you're following the trail, right, you don't know where the trail is taking you. And when you get this instinct of maybe I should go left instead of going right, but you have this gut instinct that you need to go right on the mountain and you don't listen to that, you go left, you'll find like there's a block there. And that's because you didn't follow that instinct that the higher mind was telling you, and you were actually meant to go right. So if you could think of it, the higher mind has this view of your reality and your life and already knows which way you need to go. It is only you and your decisions and making you think that you are alone in this that makes you have all of these wrong turns. You know, there's a tree that fell over here. Turns out this trail, there was a rock slide, right? But because
Hmm.
we can only perceive a certain level of reality, and it's also based on the evidence of our past, we usually make these decisions or perceive life through that
Okay.
old way of thinking, being, and seeing. So most people would hear this, follow your instincts, live on synchronicities, and be like, that's dangerous. Like, how is that? How is there any order to that at all? Like, how
Yeah.
is following your bliss or following your highest excitement going to get you anything, right? If I go into a
True.
biscuits and gravy shop and I'm trying to lose weight, why would that be a good thing? How is that congruent with my goals, right? But what if by going into that biscuits and gravy shop, you find the exact, personal trainer that's required that you're looking for, and they're just out taking their grandma for lunch or whatever.
Hmm.
And you actually meet somebody there that is actually the thread that gets you to where you want to go. But see, because we think that we have to have it all figured out, because we think we have to have all the answers, because we think by all these rules that have been placed upon us that we have to abide by them religiously, we actually miss out on opportunities that creator is trying to give us by going into that biscuits and gravy shop, or by going to a different store to purchase makeup, or even for an example, okay? So let me give you an example. I had a friend come out this week and we were planning on going to Fossil Creek, right? And
Where's
it should
Fossil
have,
Creek? I'm sorry. What's Fossil Creek? Tell me.
yeah, Fossil
Okay.
Creek is it's a waterfall here in Arizona.
Okay.
And it should have been a 2.5 mile hike. And it turns out we went the wrong way and we scaled up a mountain. But because we were going up and having such a good time, we actually went 6 miles up the mountain in the completely wrong direction. Now, most of us would panic and be upset. I know there for a moment there, I wanted to cry, right? But I knew that I wanted to have a secluded place along the river where there wasn't a lot of people. So by me going up
Mm-hmm.
that 6 mile hike and then having to come back down from that, obviously, and then finding the right path, we actually got what we wanted by having that seclusion, by not having all of those people, because we didn't get down to the river until about 4. So
Wow.
I hope that this is making sense. So even in the detours or the things that we think that are the way it's supposed to go, even when it doesn't go the way we thought, doesn't mean that it's out of alignment or that it's wrong, or that anything anything's wrong with you or your manifestation abilities. Actually, that
Mm-hmm.
detour could be giving you exactly what you want, and the higher mind knows this.
Okay.
And so we just put our faith and trust in following what feels in alignment, like that thread of excitement, like that bliss, like that um uh even the detours, and just trusting that it's all working out for you. Because again, we can only perceive so much in this with this human mind. We really can't. And it goes through a filter of our own limiting beliefs. There's
Mm-hmm.
a higher power. I don't care what you believe in. If you're Catholic, Christian, Jehovah's Witness, Muslim, whatever it is, Hindu, we all believe in something that is greater than us. And this intelligence that is greater than us knows the
Mm-hmm.
current of our life. And we just, when we follow that, that's when life gets easy. That's when life gets effortless. And that is how you get what you want, by following those synchronicities, by following that flow. And here's the thing too. So I know in the beginning, I was like, follow flow, no structure and grind and hustle. And I do have to have it all figured out. And it's all in my power. It's all
Mm-hmm.
within me. And it is still within you. It's just coming from a higher aspect of you. But when you're in that type of mentality where it's a scarcity mentality because you're not
Yeah.
trusting in something greater than you, right? You have to have all the control and therefore actually you have no control. But when we say surrender, it's not about giving up because I'm a firm believer you should never give up on your dreams. What you're surrendering to, and you're not surrendering control, what you're doing is you're surrendering to the control that is already built within your blueprint of your life so that and it's given to you through those synchronicities so that
Okay.
as you flow, as you follow that excitement, as you follow that instinct or that impulse, you will find that you were always where you were meant to be, and you will find that you will always have everything that you need and you will get what you want, and it'll be 10 times better than your physical mind actually could ever have conjured or thought of originally.
Mm, love it.
And
Thank
this,
you.
yeah, and this is not, I know that most people will listen to this and I can hear all of the logic going on and all of the questions going on from everybody that's listening, right? Because we are so programmed to believe that we need to follow certain orders and certain A plus B equals this result, right? But that's not how we live in that true bliss and gratitude. That is not how we live at the fullest expansion of ourselves. We can all feel it. We can feel that vacancy. We can feel that
Yeah.
void. And so it's not working. Let's just admit that it's not working to live by an A plus B equals C. What if the equation is something that we just need to feel through? And I know that some people have hesitancy, because like going back to the biscuits and gravy thing, if I'm supposed to be losing weight and I go into a biscuits and gravy shop, right? How is that getting me closer to my goal? But what if there's an opportunity within there that creator's trying to have you seize or
Mm-hmm.
tap into or grab, but you're missing it because you're like, oh, well, this is the way. I'm not supposed to be carb overloading right now, or I'm not supposed to be, you know what I mean? Because we have that tunnel vision. It's
Yeah.
that tunnel vision that keeps us blind to all of the possibilities that are out there. And we just have to have faith and trust because even in the stuff that we don't prefer, even in the things that we don't like that are occurring in our lives, based on how we define it, is the outcome we extract from it. So if we do,
Mm-hmm.
let's say, oh, I'm just going to listen to this girl that I found on the podcast Business News Network, and I'm just going to go to that biscuits and gravy shop.
Okay. Yeah.
And then you do it, and then you like start to guilt trip yourself because you're supposed to be losing weight and oh my god, this isn't working, she really was a nut job, right? That's because that was the definition that you
Uh,
gave it. You didn't see the bigger picture. Now if you were just present with it and were grateful for the biscuits and gravy, you would have realized or gotten that higher level outcome.
well, let me ask you this. I need to remind everyone how we can contact you. So what is your website, best form of contact?
Yeah, 5stepstoalignment.com.
All right. And on furthering today's discussion, I just want to remind everyone to work with you. Could you just share the process and how long it usually takes to work with someone in your position to achieve those results? What type of programs do you offer?
Mm. Well, right now I have Patreon, and
That's a subscription. Yeah.
that's a subscription base. If you did decide that you wanted to work with me, um, see the thing is that it's never oh, in 6 weeks you'll get this result because how many limiting beliefs do we have to move through? How committed are you to actually changing your life? Are you actually willing to step outside of the rules and limitations that have been placed upon you in order for, like how much resistance are you going to put yourself through?
Mm-hmm.
That's the amount of time that it would or would not take. Right. Because even this concept of what I'm talking about, of not having to have everything figured out and living off synchronicity, is like scattering people's brains as we talk.
Yeah.
Right. So it really, the results that you get with me are varied based upon how much resistance you are going to put yourself through and how much of an open mind you can have and just try it out.
And by the way, if you are listening today, you can give Haley a call and reach out. You do offer an initial consultation, so it's no charge just to talk for a little bit to see if she could be of service. So don't be afraid to do that because, don't worry about that. She'll tell you what she thinks you need because it's kind of difficult. You're in your situation, but you can't see what you're really in and what you're going through. But like, I'm assuming in seconds, you could just talk to her and she'll figure it out. I think she can figure you out in a few minutes because she's figured me out in the past. Yeah, very
Well, and the
true.
key, the key to this, honestly, for anybody that works with me, it's not about working with me or staying working with me. Really, what I want for you is to own your own essence and divinity. I want you to have all of the tools and all the knowledge that I have as it pertains
Yeah,
authentically to you so that you have that more blissful life. So you are owning that you are of God essence, that you are really made in the image of that. And it's not just written in a book, that it's an actual consciousness that lives within inside you, and you have access to that and you can expand into it. Now, I know it's
yeah,
uncomfortable to think about, but you do, like we talked last week or 2 weeks ago, you're already manifesting anyway. You already are using the power anyway. Are you going to use it in a way that benefits you, that gets you what you want, that gets you what you prefer? And are you leveraging the things that you don't want to actually get what you do want? Are you living in a state of detachment and bliss because you're not attached to how you have to get to the store or how you have to have the paycheck come in or how your spouse has to act or how your kids have to act, right? Actually, when we think that we have to operate these rules, that we think that all of these rules and having everything figured out is going to give us that control and that freedom, when in reality, freedom is a state of being. It is
yeah.
not in rules. It is in detachment. It is in detachment from the outcome. It is in detaching from who you even thought you were.
Mm-hmm. And for the rest of the show, Haley, just want to ask you a personal question. I've gotten to know you obviously very well the past, few months, but how does it work in your own life when you're waking up every day? I mean, because you have this like amazing aura about you and you're so kind, so helpful. Do you have bad days? Do you have days where you feel
Yes.
off and with your family? And how do you get through that? Because you seem like a very strong, definitely a strong woman, and a woman, but it's just, you know, it's okay to have bad days is what I'm trying to get at here. But I'm really doubting if you ever have bad days. It's not
No,
bad.
I have. No,
I
it's
don't
not
want you
bad.
to, but I'm just, yeah.
No, of course, of course. It's a genuine question. I can feel that. Yes, I do have bad days. I do have bad days. Um, and actually, a lot of April, you would have never known, but a lot of April, I was going through a lot of density. I was going through a lot of, questioning myself, questioning my identity, questioning the way I show up, questioning all of it, right? And you would have never known, but I was going through that. And the reason
Hmm.
why, see, when a bad day comes up, at first, of course, my natural response is to resist it. Oh no, I got to be in a peak state. Oh no, I got to be this, that, right?
Hmm.
And that is where I find that I give more to the problem when I try to resist what I'm feeling. So then once I wake up and realize that I'm resisting something, then I ask myself, what is this resistance trying to show me? What is the belief that is causing this resistance? Why am I resisting this? What am I afraid of? What is the ultimate fear that is keeping me captive in my own resistance, in my own bad day? And sometimes it's a bad week. Sometimes it's not just a bad day. Sometimes it's a bad week. Sometimes it's a bad few weeks. But it takes as long as it takes to process through. And like, I just default to the habits. I just default to the things that I know get me into a peak state. So or get me into a space of reflection, and I navigate through it, because sometimes it's listening to people like Bashar. Sometimes it's like listening to people like Ed Milet.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's music. Sometimes it's meditation. It's not always meditation.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just getting dressed up and being like, oh, I feel better,
Felt good
right?
today. Yeah.
Yeah. And so it's just really ultimately when you know yourself and you can accept yourself as you are, then it's like you are unlimited, you are impenetrable, you are impervious, you have that power that you can see and admire in another, but it's within you, not in somebody else,
Got it.
right? So in the bad days, sometimes I put myself through my own suffering. It's
Okay.
no doubt. Yeah, sometimes I put myself through my own suffering. That's why I can speak about it so articulately, because if I didn't experience any of this, then how would I have any
You're right.
right to
Knowledge of
talk
how to
about
help.
it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So once I wake up and realize that I'm resisting myself, I accept it, and then I get curious. And the key to the curiosity is again detachment, is again um not judging yourself for the things that you think, feel, and believe. Because if it's coming up, that means it's ready to be released.
Yeah.
And if you're resisting it or in fear of it, or you're like, I don't want to believe this anymore, then you're allowing it to control you, which
Yeah.
is what you don't want, which is why you're resisting it, because you don't want it to control you. But if
Got
you
it.
just have acceptance, and then that's the tail end of it,
Yeah.
right? Then once like all change is absolute, either you've changed or you haven't, even in decision making, even in belief work, even in inner work. The reason why most people struggle to sit down without distraction is because when they sit down without a phone, without Netflix, without
Ah,
anything,
amazing.
they are alone with themselves, and that scares them, because at that point they really do have to face everything. But the only
Interesting.
reason why facing things, that's why people, like, instead of going out on a date and just looking at the park, you go out to a movie or you go out to dinner, because there's all this external stimulus. There's other
Yeah.
people here. Let's go distract ourselves because we don't like ourselves, right? I
Yeah.
understand. I do. I completely understand.
But
But that's why that's part of the reason why you're lost, is because you don't know yourself, and you're resisting accepting the quote unquote darker or denser parts of you, maybe the parts of yourself that you don't prefer, right? But that's the thing, when you can accept the parts of yourself that you don't prefer, they no longer manifest within your state of being, because you're like, I don't want to be that person anymore. And then that makes space for who you actually desire to be.
oh, this is getting deep, deep, and we're almost out of time. We still got 3 minutes. What else do you want to add?
Hmm. Do you have a
Clearly,
question?
you're passionate. I know you love the work that you do. I mean, how many people do you talk to on a daily basis? Yeah, just curious.
Yeah, yeah, several. Um, I'm always communicating every day. Um, each with their own, see, and that's the thing. Everybody that I talk to, they're like, they think that they're different or their circumstances are different or that,
No one will
and don't
understand
get
them
me
because
wrong, there are nuances to
yes,
everything.
but
But what's not different for you is that you are a human being in this 3D reality with access to higher consciousness. You're not excluded from that. You're not excluded from change. You're not excluded from bliss. You're not excluded from your dream reality. You can have all of those things.
yeah.
It's just you have to overcome that old version of you,
Mm.
which we hold on to so tightly because that's the only thing we know, because there's uncertainty and fear in the unknown. But again, it's like, weigh your options. Do you want to continue? Can you live like this for the next 10 years of your life? Do you want to be living like this
Mm-hmm.
for the next 10 years of your life? Or do you want something different? And that wanting something different has to be stronger. It has to have a gravitational pull of its own desire. Then I'm okay with living moderately as a fraction of who I could be, and a fraction of the happiness that I could experience.
Nope. Well, thank you. And if we want to reach out to you, would you mind reminding us?
It's 5stepsToalignment.com. It's
Perfect.
5stepsToalignment.com. And I know it was intense. I know today was intense. I did not foresee or perceive it to be intense. It's just very, I want everybody listening, whether they work with me or not, and I'll wrap this up. But I want everybody who's listening to know that they do not have to succumb or be
Mm-hmm.
submissive in the current state or circumstances that they're in now. That inner pull for better, is telling you what's possible.
Got it.
Listen to that.
Well, thank you again for being here, and we'll talk again next week.
Yes, we will.
Thank you
Yes,
so
we
much,
will.
sweetheart. You have a great day, and all of our listeners the same.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
Mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned. This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.